Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Tuesday, February 6th. As you might be able to see, we've got Murray in the background here hanging out, joining the show today. The Jaguars. Last night, it was announced that they had brought back Riley Patterson, the playoff hero. He is back, right? On a futures contract, the Jaguars now have him in their future plans, their 2024 plans. He's the only kicker currently on the Jaguars roster. Brandon McManus, the 2023 starter who replaced Riley Patterson, he's a free agent, right? So the Jaguars, they have an interesting situation here. How are they going to move forward at kicker? Is Riley Patterson enough? Should they bring back Brandon McManus? Should they bring in more competition, whether that's through free agency or the draft? We're going to dive into it here today. We're going to talk kicker. I'm not a kicker expert. I'll tell you that right now. But we're going to dive into the Jaguars' different options potentially at kicker because it is crucial. Your kicker can massively impact your season, as we saw in 2023. The Jaguars had multiple games that potentially could have been won had they had better kicking performances. So we're going to dive into it here today. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. We will have a sale announced later today. Check our socials to see about that flash sale. So getting into these kickers. Brandon McManus, as I mentioned, he is a free agent. Last year, he was 25 of 27 inside of 50 yards. I think you can take that all day from a accuracy standpoint. I think that's good enough statistically. But he was 5 of 10 beyond 50 yards. That's not close to good enough. I mean, you want to be flirting with the 60 to 70% range, and I know that's only a difference of one kick. But when you've kicked it 10 times from 50 plus yards, you've got to get more than 5 of them. Not good enough. And he missed some kicks that would have changed games, as I mentioned. Like, especially that one against Cincinnati. That's the one that stands out the most, right? Riley Patterson, when you look at the statistics on the surface, he has been more accurate than Brandon McManus the last couple years. He has made 87.5% of his kicks for the Jaguars, and then for the Lions, and had a cup of tea with the Browns as well. McManus, over the last 2 seasons, has made 79.4% of his kicks. That is a massive difference statistically. However, when you look at where these kicks are from, kind of paints a different picture, right? Inside of 50, McManus was 92.5% this year. It was the bombs from 50 plus yards that really screwed up his percentage overall. And again, it was the key misses that screwed up the perception in Jacksonville for Brandon McManus. The disappointment because he didn't get the job done in the clutch one too many times, right? Last year, inside of 50 yards, Riley Patterson was 15 of 16. That's 93.7%. That's about the same rate as McManus. So you're talking about inside of 50, they're almost the same. He was only 1 of 2 from 50 plus yards because teams cannot trust that his leg will get it there. He doesn't have the leg power that Brandon McManus has. So when you look at these two guys, you talk about what they're actually doing as field goal kickers. I don't think that Riley Patterson has been more impressive than McManus, even over the last 2 years, even though on the surface, those numbers look better. It's because McManus is attempting 10 50-plus yard field goals. Riley Patterson's attempting 2. He's also significantly worse on kickoffs, and he's not quite as accurate on extra points. I mean, everyone in the NFL, you got to be pretty accurate on extra points, otherwise you're just not going to make it. But McManus has been slightly more accurate. So I do think when you're looking at these two guys in a vacuum, Brandon McManus is better than Riley Patterson. So do you bring him back? Maybe. But even if you do, I'm pursuing more outside help. Fairbairn out of Houston, he has been very good the last 2 years. He's been excellent. A guy that can definitely get the job done for you in a variety of ways. Nick Folk, he's been better than Brandon McManus lately. He's an older kicker, though, about to be 40 years old. I know Brandon McManus is no spring chicken, but that's pretty old. Chase McLaughlin, he had a cup of tea here in Jacksonville, and he's been really good the last couple years as a field goal kicker. Cameron Dicker the kicker, excellent for the Chargers this past year. Greg the Leg Zuerlein, he's coming off a good year, but he's never been the most consistent throughout his career. For me, when I look at these options, I think Fairbairn from Houston, and Cameron Dicker, those are your best options. I think those are both very good options. Folk is probably about on the same level as Brandon McManus right now, but older. Chase McLaughlin, very good field goal kicker, not very good on the kickoff so far in his career. So if you bring in a guy like that, which Riley Patterson is in that same mold, I would say, but McLaughlin much better from 50 plus yards than Patterson. He's attempted a lot more and made a lot. Then you have to get into the situation. So is Logan Cook going to be our kickoff specialist? Is he going to be the guy that we trust with kickoffs? How do we handle that? That does muddy the water a little bit because you really would like your kicker to be your kickoff specialist, but he doesn't have to be. You've also got the draft to potentially add a kicker, to potentially upgrade the position because it hasn't been good enough in Jacksonville the last couple of years, right? Look, Riley Patterson, playoff hero. Brandon McManus, a guy that let you down in the clutch against the Cincinnati Bengals and didn't have the most stellar year, right? But overall, those two guys, just not quite good enough. Like, I don't think you can go into a year with a kicker you don't trust to make it from 50 plus yards at all, which is Riley Patterson. And I don't think you can go into a year with a kicker that wasn't clutch and missed a lot of kicks from 50 plus yards for you. That's how I personally view it. I think you've got to upgrade. So there are some guys in college that are highly regarded. And again, I'm not a kicking expert. I don't like scout these guys and know, oh gosh, his form looks incredible. His leg drive, oh my goodness, right? I can look at the statistics. I can watch them kick. So I'm not like the foremost expert here, right? But Will Reichard from Alabama, he's been awesome for them, for the Crimson Tide. And he looked really damn good this year. I mean, he was accurate. He's been able to make it from 50 plus yards. He's been accurate inside of 50, accurate on the extra points. He looks like a good kicker to me. But there's some other guys that a lot of people like. Cam Little from Arkansas, Henry Mevis from Mizzou, Joshua Carty from Stanford. These are the guys that a lot of folks are talking about. Maybe they could get drafted as kickers. And so when you talk about kicker, where would you feel comfortable? I mean, if you think this guy's going to be an absolute stud, probably round 5 or after. I think anything before that and a lot of pressure starts to get put on these kickers. You see a lot of them flame out. Obviously, kicker is the ultimate mental position in the NFL and football. You start missing kicks, you get the yips, and it can be over for you. It can be curtains. So it's tough. It is tough to scout kickers. It's tough to invest heavily in kickers because you never know when the yips are going to happen, and then it can be over for you. So you gotta, in my opinion, not invest too much at kicker. But you do need to try to get guys in here that you feel comfortable with because they are important. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 there. There's another aspect of the Jaguars kicking situation I find interesting I wanted to look at. Doug Patterson, as a head coach, he had never had a kicker attempt more than 6 field goals of 50-plus yards until 2023 when McManus attempted 10 of them. And he had Jake Elliott in Philly, who is a very good kicker, is accurate from 50-plus yards. So it wasn't like he had a guy that he just didn't feel comfortable with. So how do you foil that? Why is that? Why did the Jaguars kick so many more field goals from 50-plus yards than a Doug Patterson team ever has? I do think some of it was end of the half stuff, right? I think it was end of game stuff as well, where you're just in a situation where time's running out, you're trying to get a kickoff, right? Trying to get some points. But I also think that the Jaguars offense needs to get to a place where they feel good about rolling the dice in that 50 to 60 yard field goal range, and they want to go for it more than they want to kick it. I don't think they had that confidence this year. I think this was a Doug Patterson team that relied too much on the kicker, quite frankly. I think most Doug Patterson teams don't kick it as much as they did last year, and I think that they're able to be more aggressive. Part of the great thing with Doug Patterson football teams is it's about football. It's about offensive and defensive football. 4 downs, let's go be aggressive, let's impose our will, let's get that first down no matter what it takes. They need to feel more confident again in 2024 than they did in 2023. They need to look more like that team you saw down the stretch in 2022 and some of those Eagles teams where we're going to go for it on 4th down and we're going to get it. Bottom line. So again, that's not to say don't upgrade kicker. You've got to, in my opinion, because when you have big moments, you got to get that. You got to get that field goal, right? You can't kick it though for me 10 plus times from 50 plus yards and only make 5 of them. You can't miss the big ones. 5 games where Brandon McManus missed a kick this year. To me, that's too many. And I know that's only, about 30% of your games, but that's too many. 4 games where he was 50% or worse on field goals. You've got to be more consistent than that if you're Brandon McManus. I don't know exactly what the answer is. Again, I've given my opinion. I do think that Cameron Dicker and Fairbairn from Houston would be upgrades. I think that Will Reichard is a good option to look at out of Alabama. Whatever the answer is, though, the Jaguars need to figure it out. Trent Baalke, Doug Peterson, Heath Farwell, they've got to get someone in here that can be better than what you've seen the last 2 years, in my opinion. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out ginjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. Again, we will be having a flash sale later today that we will announce on our social channels. Make sure to check them. Y'all have a good one.